Good evening, everyone. How are you doing today? It's Fenna. Gonna be jumping into part 2 of the McCree positioning guide, which I started yesterday. You've probably already seen the first part. If you haven't, go and check it out. But we're gonna be finishing off the rest of the maps today. Let's jump straight into it. Let's go.
Traveling to Volskaya Industries.
Alright, so first point on Volskaya Industries. This can actually be pretty hectic for McCree as it's a very wide open site with a lot of flank routes. Now, the general place that you're going to be playing is around this position because your Reinhardt will generally be set up around there, which gives you the ability to move here and also here to get a better angle on the choke if they're on that side of the choke. And it also gives you the ability to fall straight back to this mega health pack if they do decide to rush in on the other side. Now, the problem is, obviously, you all know about the flank routes on that side of the map where you can go across with Tracer, Genji, and other jumpy heroes, which can be a big problem. So, one of the best positions on this map, in my opinion, is up on this high ground. Now, the big problem with this is that your team is most likely not going to be playing around here. So again, it's one of those spots where if you are here, then you want some backup. You either want one support with you to be able to protect you, or you want your entire team up here, but good luck getting your team up here in a competitive game. When it comes to point 2 with McCree, it's a lot simpler since you're just defending that smaller point. I like playing up on this high ground here, which gives you good ability to see people coming up on the left. You can flash people as they come through here. If they push mid, you can flash them as well. So even though you're up on the high ground, you can still protect everyone and get usage out of your flashbang. You also have the ability to easily fall back to a different high ground position, which is over here, which is a really good poke position as well. So there's a lot of maneuverability on these high grounds on the left. And it's very rare that you'll actually have to drop down. You can generally just play this position most of the time.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Alright, so first point on Hollywood, you're generally going to be wanting to play right on the point because your Reinhardt should be situated around this kind of position here. This gives you ability to be around your supports and gives you the best movement around everything. You can also use this door as cover if you need to, if they decide to push in fast. Another position you can play is you go up the stairs and then you play on top of the cafe. Now this can be a little bit risky because if they have a hero that can shoot up here, then you're just putting yourself in a position where you can get picked off because you're not behind the Rhine shield and you're not really getting more vision. The only thing you're getting vision on is the middle house roof. So you can actively go to the cafe roof if you see them go to the middle house roof. There's no reason to start up there and put yourself in that dangerous position before you see them make the move. Now you might be wondering, why not play the middle house roof yourself? Well, the reason is because basically, if you play this position, you're giving them free shots before they even have to come through the choke point. And that is not something you want to do. You want to force them through the choke point. Sometimes you'll see your teammates playing up there, and it might be best just to play up there because your teammates are up there. But generally, you want to be playing down on the point with your team, force them through the choke so that you get better position on the attacking team. Next up is the streets phase of Hollywood. Again, streets phases always seem to be pretty hectic. The high ground is usually the place to be, as the high ground on this portion of the map is very, very strong and you generally want your entire team up here. But again, if they have heroes that can dive on you, then you don't want to be up top if your team is not up top. So if your team is on the ground and they have heroes that can dive on you, just play with your team, be around your supports, and you'll be good. If they don't have heroes that can dive and your team's not up top, then take the top and you will do a lot of work. There are a lot of boxes and obstacles on this map that you can AD out of, so remember to use those. You've got this dumpster as well and these boxes here, so there's a lot of obstacles and little bits on this map where you can just strafe in and out of that can protect you. Last portion of the map, this corner usually gets pushed pretty quickly and you end up being pushed all the way back here. But if you are fighting here, just take shots from around this area here. But it's unlikely you're going to be there long. So you will be pushed back. Generally, you want to be playing around with your team around this position behind the Reinhardt shield, around your supports. But you can move through to this position on the right where you've got these boxes for cover. And you've also got an easy fallback position over here in this little health pack on the right, which does help out. If you're going to go up top, it generally takes a little bit too much time to get up top, even though it's a nice position if they don't have any heroes that can dive on you. So if you can get up here and they don't have any jumpy heroes, then you can go for that. And then on the last bit of the point, you've got all of these boxes all over the place that you can abuse. Lots and lots of obstacles that you can strafe around to take shots and keep yourself quite safe.
Traveling to Dorado.
Okay, jumping into Dorado phase 1. So on here, you're generally going to want to be starting up here because your Reinhardt will generally be positioned here, but you need to be ready to fall back very quickly because this will usually get pushed no problem. So make sure you coordinate with your team to make them fall back really quickly. You can poke this position and this position, but it is quite risky. I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you're completely sure there's absolutely nothing that's going to kill you on the enemy team. Alright, the next little bit can be quite dynamic. I would recommend playing on the left side here so you can use this wall for cover and you can easily fall back if needed. That is when they're down in the choke. And then when they start to come up the choke, you can use this position here. Actually, let me go back here. One of the reasons why I like this position here is because you can see them coming through this right flank here. Whereas if you stand over here, you actually can't see that if you're using this for cover. So you can get yourself into some dangerous situation by just letting them walk in and get close to you real easily. But when they do push up, you can start using this statue. And then if they do push up even more and you're still alive, your team hasn't wiped, you can try and start abusing this high ground over here. So you can start shooting them from here and using this window as well. As long as it's safe, as in they don't have heroes to dive you. If they do have heroes to dive you, it's probably going to be a game of just falling further and further back along with your team. All right, another streets phase on Dorado. The high ground here is absolutely devastating and a nightmare for the attacking team to deal with. So just having yourself up here and poking back and forward, only your little head pops over, so it's very hard to die. Even if they do have a hero like McCree themselves, he's going to have a tough time hitting your head. Preferably, you're going to get some of your team up here, preferably at least one support to back you up so you can't just be dived so easily. Preferably get multiple heroes up here as well. Generally, a lot of pro teams try to take the entire high ground with their entire team and just shoot downwards onto the enemies, and it works really, really well. So there's not much reason to not have the high ground unless they have a lot of dive heroes and your team is not playing up there. But preferably coordinate with your team, get some of them up there. If not, just play with your supports and play behind these walls for cover. Last phase of the map, we do have some nice high grounds again that you can play from, but they can easily get onto you if they start coming through that flank path. So you need to be very careful here. If it does feel risky, you want to drop down with your team as fast as possible, especially if your team is not up on the top, and then just play with your supports. Once again, you keep them alive, they'll keep you alive. It's a good team. Positioning gets a little bit hard once they get to the last corner. There's not too many spots here for McCree. If your Reinhardt is around here, they're pushing in hard. This is really the only spot you have. You could play over here, but I feel like it's a little bit risky and it's going to be hard to get vision on things, especially with the payload in the way. And playing over here is a little bit too risky if they're pushed up all the way to the corner, because they're going to be able to push into you very easily.
Traveling to Route 66.
Route 66, the first portion of the map. Now, one thing you don't want to do here is play too far forward, and there's basically one position for McCree here, and it's basically on the top of the roof behind this sign. It is just so strong. It's a high ground. You can hide easily. You can fall back easily. You get great position on anywhere they attack. You can see everything. You can even jump down and grab the mega if you want to. The only reason to ever leave the roof is if your entire team jumps down, and not only that, but there's also someone looking like they're either pressuring you or they're going to pressure you on the top of the roof by getting on top of you, but it's very hard for them to get up here. So unless someone is on you, I would recommend just staying on here because you have perfect vision over everything. It is a fantastic spot for McCree. Next up, we have the streets phase of the map. Now, this is a lot simpler than the other streets phase of other maps. You generally want to be playing the high ground in this little house here. You're going to get good vision on the starting portion of this section, and you can use this house as cover. You've got all these high ground, so you get a really good position on everything, and it's not so high and you're not so far away from your team, who are generally just going to be down there, that it doesn't even matter too much if you get jumped on. Once they start to push around the corner, you're probably going to have to play on the ground unless you can get yourself up there, but that's probably going to happen with a respawn from yourself, because you're not going to be crossing that bridge to get all the way back there when they're already pushing through. So you end up just on the ground here playing with your team unless you get some time to specifically get up on the high ground. Last phase for McCree can be pretty dynamic. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of little flank corridors and stuff like that. If you can set yourself up in this position before they manage to push through, it's a little bit hard to get to. You have to use a platform or use those stairs over there. Then this is a great position to use if there's nothing that can get on you and kill you or shoot you or put you at risk. If there is stuff that puts you at risk, then you want to be playing down with your team and watching all of these flanks to protect your supports, because holy crap, there's a lot of flanks on this map, and it can get really, really crazy if teams decide to start using them and not just push through down the middle. Once you get pushed to the back, playing the right side here can be really good. Nice little high ground with a mega health pack right on the right. If you get pushed all the way back, then there's not much left except for these little canister things and a couple of boxes, filing boxes and stuff as well on the right. But you can use all of these right at the end to try and get yourself some position to push back.
Traveling to Eichenwalde.
Eichenwalde, pretty much my favorite map, the newest map in the map pool as well. I love it. I love it. Well, the best McCree position here, in my opinion, on the first point is right next to this wall here. You get good range on pretty much everyone. You've got cover on the wall, and you've got easy movement to hold the right and the point as well. So you don't have to move much to get everywhere you need to be. Your Reinhardt is generally going to be set up there, so you're going to be safe from the front. You can get people coming over the top if people come through the flank. Easy little movement to get over there as well. And, well, they shouldn't really be getting up the left unless they go really hard. Alright, second portion of Eichenwalde is super interesting, one of the most dynamic portions of any map. There's so many little pathways that people can sneak around, and these ridiculously high grounds. So playing this high ground is amazing if they've got nothing that can get on you. If you can play up here and they can't contest you, that is amazing. But you've also got to be careful because they can sneak up through here. So you got to make sure no one's sneaking through there. If that's the case, you can play this high ground here. It's a little bit less risky than the super high ground. You've really got to know the team you're going up against and how your teammates are playing to choose the right position here. There's basically 3 really good high grounds, and the further you go to the right, the safer it is as they push through that main door. Some of these, though, if your team is not playing up here at all, is not safe at all. In that case, you want to jump down and play with the team on the street. Once they do end up pushing to this archway, you want to be playing on this bridge, as you're going to have best vision of every little pathway they can push through. Remember, they can push through the left here, so you can't just go up on the castle and start shooting down, because it's going to get really risky if they decide to start abusing the castle themselves. And then when you do get pushed further back, you've got these little bricks and stuff that you can hide behind as well. So this area is super interesting, and it completely depends on the kind of team you're against and how your team is playing to choose the right position, because the higher you get, the more you can do, but the riskier it gets. The last portion of the map, you're generally going to be wanting to play with your team at least until they push around here. And at this point, a really good position is this high ground at the back. Really easy to fall back on and keep yourself safe. And you get really good vision on the entire corridor here until they do push through all the way to the side. And then you should be falling back to the back pillars. But at this point, you're probably in a lot of trouble.
Alright guys, that does it for this McCree positioning tips guide thing. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more like this, then let me know. Or if you've got any ideas for stuff that I should cover on YouTube for Overwatch, then let me know as well. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.